Good morning, Judith,
Hey, good morning, Sonya.
and welcome to the Coaches Cup. I'm Sonya Green from SonyaGreenCoaching.com.
And I'm Judith Fender. I'm one of the amazing coaches with the No BS weight loss program.
All right. This morning, we are talking about how to measure success.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think what prompted this. I know we got it from our coaching clients.
Yes. Yeah, we were pre-gaming about having discussions and maybe talking about um, clients who are trying to lose weight, wanting to lose weight, and the value they place on the scale,
Yes.
how it bites them in the ass.
Mhm.
The drama,
And
the,
not the
the
good way. Yeah.
and not the good way, not the good way. Yeah, the
Yeah.
and the stories they tell and what they make it mean, and how yeah, it was from there.
Yeah. So when we were talking about this, we started talking about it with the scale, but then what we quickly realized is that I mean, it's not just weight loss clients who do this. We do it around money. We measure our success by how much money we make or how much money we have. Um, as a professor, students do it with grades.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And these are easy ways that people choose to measure success because they're a quick and dirty assessment.
Oh, and I was just sitting here thinking to myself, it's what we're taught in
Hmm.
society. I think about my daughter who was the extreme overachiever,
Yes.
and my son who did not have the grades that reflected his growth that hers did, and the contrast in their experiences and how they both turned out so differently, and like the value that they placed on grades.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I could do I
And
could
what
talk about the same
society placed
thing.
on the grades,
Right.
where they were
Right.
rewarded. Oh, I'm getting all fired up. Okay.
Yeah. No. And what this is, we're going to talk about what leads to this measure of success, and then we're going to talk about where the real goal is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I don't think you'll be surprised if you are a frequent listener by any of our conclusions, but it's a good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
So let's lead off with the big P word, which
Oh God.
is where we all want to measure our success from. We want to stand in a place of perfectionism.
That island, that mirage in the desert, the
It is a
illusion.
mirage. Yes. Oh, that's the perfect word for it. Yes, it is a mirage, the mirage of perfectionism.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we want to measure our success from there.
We'll die of thirst trying to get there, and it's never achievable.
Yeah. Yeah. I coached a client yesterday she had been in a new position for about 6 months. And she thought that in this new position, she should already have everything under control.
Mm-hmm. What?
6 months, I should have it. She's having all these outside voices come in, tell her how it should be done to be done right. And she had gotten herself so worked up about not being where in this place of perfection,
Mm-hmm.
um, that she had just paralyzed herself.
Mm-hmm.
She was going in the office, she was sitting there not accomplishing anything, not literally not anything, but she wasn't doing the things that she could have been doing because she was so paralyzed by not having done the things that people were telling her she should have done at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Or, feeling like maybe they weren't telling her that, but that's what she was hearing.
Right, right. Her
Sometimes
her perception.
yes, her perception did not probably match. But um, perfectionism will
Mm,
get us every time.
mhm, mhm. We just, no matter what, with perfectionism, it's just our version of raising the bar and creating something that is unattainable,
Yeah.
never good enough, not doable.
And the list goes on, right?
Mhm.
I looked up this is something you usually do, but last night I looked up the definition of success. And it's not a real in my mind, it's not a real satisfying definition, but here it is. It's a favorable or prosperous completion of attempts or endeavors.
Oh gosh, that's a lot of words.
It is a lot of words, and I think what when you boil it down, it means, um, that you have favorably completed your goals. I think goals fits in there.
Okay, okay. So I'm doing the quick Google search.
Google search, yeah. Yeah, I was like, that is success, I mean, technically, but it's not very satisfying. And I think it's not
That's satisfying. You'd like it doesn't scratch the itch for you on what the definition of
yeah,
is.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's very clinical, right?
Yes, because I like this one right here. It says archaic, whatever. The good or bad outcome of an undertaking.
Yeah. And I think it's not satisfying because we want success to be this shiny
Oh.
thing at the end. We
Mhm.
want it to be the prize. Success means
I've arrived.
wealth. It means what?
I've arrived.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
means all of those shiny and I don't know, it's
It
just
means no struggle.
yes.
Don't tell me, just tell, was that Elon Musk quote in here about everyone sees his success and no one,
No one
no one
sees the
wants to hear
struggle.
about the struggle
Yeah.
or the stress.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, maybe that's why it wasn't a very satisfying definition because we want that shiny gold prize at the end and we
Mhm.
don't see the struggle.
Mhm. The highlight reels, like
Yeah.
we're so accustomed to seeing and hearing about the highlight reels, and because we're not really talking about the struggles a lot,
Yeah.
which, as with any good undertaking, weight loss, good grades, starting a new business, like there is going to be your journey,
Yes.
and you will grow to get to success.
And that, dear listeners, is where the magic
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
So our I guess the thesis of our topic today is that while it's easy to measure success with
Mm,
those quick and dirty assessments, that is not where the magic is.
right,
The real magic in measuring success is in those other things. It's in the journey, right?
right. The intangibles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the intangibles. So we have a list of those for you to consider. And I hope
Mm.
I hope that you will because so many people get derailed by trying to measure success by society standards.
Oh my gosh. Even as much coaching as I've done, and we were when we were talking like pregame, it
Mhm,
still rattles me to the core at the level of non-acceptance
mhm,
or the level of comparison we still do on an individual. I do it myself,
yep,
or if it's around the scale, around looks, clothes, whatever, and the practice that it takes to see yourself as successful.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's because we all have human brains.
Mhm. Mhm.
That I don't know how many times a day I will say to a client, here's the good news. You're dealing with all of this because you have a normal human brain.
Mhm. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. So the first intangible that we want to talk about, since you already kind of into it, is to focus on yourself
Mm.
rather than comparing yourself.
Oh gosh. that is such a, that's a good one. It's a doozy. It's
Mhm.
the work of our lives to not compare to others. And in my particular clients that I have, having access to a Facebook group where they see others achieving weight loss success,
Yeah.
um, it is coached upon a lot.
Yeah. Well, and look at social media today. I mean, we've talked about this, about the highlight reel all the time.
Mhm,
Nobody shows their struggle.
mhm,
The
mhm.
str and, it does show up sometime in the Facebook page, and I'm always appreciative of people who talk about that struggle because I always learn from it and appreciate their willingness to share it. But it's so much easier to just show
Yeah,
the success.
agreed.
But, the struggle that's where the learning comes from. And those are where the long-term successes happen too. Um, you know, we well, I'm not gonna get into that right now. We'll come back to that in just a minute.
Oh, I'm like wondering what you're going to tie that into because my brain is my brain is thinking too. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, I'm gonna come back to it.
Okay.
So the next thing is an intangible measure, a way to measure your success is discovering your values.
Right. Right. Last week's podcast. Was that no, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I guess that was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. So we won't spend a lot of time on it, but really understanding what motivates you to achieve a goal.
Mhm, mhm. Right. Because if you're showing up to lose weight, to make your partner happy, or to look better, or to achieve some number,
Yeah.
it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to drive you to get the results that you want, that are in fact doable.
Yeah. I see students all the time who are majoring in a certain thing because their parents want them to do that.
Oi, oi, oi.
And they're like, well, we're paying for your college. So if we're paying for it, you have two choices. You can be a doctor or a lawyer. And
Seriously? I
oh,
can't believe that still goes on.
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot. A lot. More than more than I'm not good for those parents because it's a different philosophy that I live under. But anyway, that's for another day.
On a little side note, but on the same path. Um, Years ago, I worked out with he was a bodybuilding coach, and his primary customer base was male, and he did like female one-on-one type sessions like on the side.
Mhm.
And so we were just having a discussion one day, and he said that he had, that the husband came and said that he wanted, him asked my trainer to train his wife, and how he wanted his wife to look. It was shocking to me. It was someone I knew, to beat all. It was
Oh my
someone I knew. I
goodness.
was not surprised at all when I heard. I mean, but it was true. So when the trainer told me, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it really isn't any different, right? The
No.
the problem with that is you can't put your values on anyone else. You can't put them on your spouse, on your
Nope.
partner.
Nope.
You can't put them on your children. And that's a whole control thing that we can talk about in another
Let's
episode.
take note.
Yeah,
Control. What do we have
control.
control over?
Right. Um, but that's what happens when you don't know your own values.
Yeah.
My client yesterday, I mentioned that, all these different, she was hearing all these outside voices telling her how she could hire this person or how she should do this or what kind of person she should hire. And that just creates a lot of noise, a lot of static in our brains. We complicate the process because we don't focus inward,
Mhm, mhm.
discover what our own values are, and then lead from that position, lead ourselves from that position, from that place of truth. What is true to me right now?
100%.
You know, the truth to me is I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
I want to be a whatever.
What do you want to be, Sonya?
I want to be everything. Like that's been my problem my whole life. I want to do all of it.
Same, same.
Yeah. So, you've got to focus on yourself, and you've got to know discover what your values are, the things that drive you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In doing that, in reaching your success along the journey, you will develop your accountability muscle.
I love that. I love any muscle. I'll take an accountability muscle any day of the week.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, when like one of the things that I think I might absolutely be the best at, that's personal accountability.
Mhm.
I'm at least I think I am, and I guess that's half
Yeah,
the
no, you are excellent at personal accountability. Talk, preach.
I just I guess it's, maybe I flexed this muscle for a very long time. It didn't happen overnight,
Mhm.
but ultimately, maybe through early experiences with my family, being in business, and being an expert at losing weight, I have personal accountability for me is in the moment,
Mhm.
right? Like we were talking, like I personally um, choose not to weigh myself often. It's not a measurement that has a lot of value to me. What is my measurement of success and my personal accountability is my food choices on the daily and on the weekly. I
Mhm.
know what I eat on the weekly, what I can and what I choose and choose not to have, and the results it's going to get me based on, you know, 4 or 5 years of doing this now.
Yeah.
Is that where we wanted to go with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because so many times we think we have to do all the things.
Yep. Yep.
And that's not where it starts. You're never that's our perfectionist tendencies, right? I have to do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to lose weight, I have to do all the things. If I'm going to get good grades, I have to do all the things. If I'm going to make the money, I have to, and
Mm-hmm.
we can shut ourselves down
And I
so
think
quickly.
that's where I learned this go around for me was I wasn't going to shut down anymore. I wasn't going to look to that scale to tell me
Mhm.
my success.
Yeah. So talk just a little bit in more detail about your philosophy of weighing.
My philosophy. Um, well, I am not sure. Like, so I do it maybe 2 or 3 times a year. It's kind of a check-in at this
Mhm.
point. I'm not a weekly or a monthly weigher.
Mhm.
Um, I did just get on the scale 2 weeks ago because I've got a challenge going with one of my coworkers and going on a trip in August. And so I got on the scale and I guessed my weight within 6/10 of a pound. I was so like, that's how well I know myself after this.
Yes. That's
And
what I was gonna say. That really speaks to how in tune you are
mhm,
with your body, and having that accountability.
mhm. And tracking my food, knowing that I eat 2 to 3 meals a day, and just not having really just living my best life.
Mhm.
It's not been difficult at all to practice maintenance the way I'm doing it. And so again, I got on the scale because I needed a measurement
Mhm.
to point me in a direction because I do have a goal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's not the end all be all. That's
Mm-mm.
not your shiny crown at the end
Oh no.
that your success.
Mm-mm.
It's more how you feel, how
Mm.
you
Oh
feel
yeah.
in your body, how you
Mhm.
show up for yourself on a daily basis.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that is what a real measure of success looks like.
Mhm. Mhm. It's going to be, knowing that I didn't overeat and that I stopped at enough and drinking my water, which, that is just so part of my
Yeah.
maintenance practice. Like
Mhm.
sleep is still, ugh, but could always be better.
Yeah.
But when you have things on lockdown that you like and the habits that get you there. Anyway, I'm digressing.
Well, no, you're not, because you're actually leading into the next point that I want to make. That's just such a good way to measure our success. And that is living into those positive feelings, living into that
Yes.
sense of abundance that we get when we know our values, when we're focused on ourselves, when we are accountable to ourselves, then we can live from a place of abundance.
You
And
know, I
yeah,
just have to say that I love hearing you echo that back to me because, like all human brains, I've had a story that I'm not doing this right, that I'm supposed to be weighing weekly because I'm a weight loss coach, you know, but I know what works for me. And I just so appreciate, like, at this moment right now, just hearing that, like, hell yeah, I'm doing it right,
yeah,
doing it my way.
that's
That's
right.
that's what this is all about.
That's what Judith's success looks like.
Right. It's the ease. It's the comfort in knowing I know what works for me, my
Yeah,
process. Mhm,
absolutely.
mhm,
Absolutely. I was I guess reflecting on is the word to use. I was reflecting on um my summer, because this summer I have a lot of moving parts. I have a lot of things going on. We're moving, and just, I felt like I was dropping some balls.
mm. I love
And yeah, I
that. Were you really juggling?
yeah.
Just kidding. Tell
Yeah,
me more.
that's the not juggling well, let's say that. And so I was reflecting on that this morning, because I do I am having a daily compassion practice where I don't do the beat downs that I used to do. So I was just reflecting on the things that weren't getting done. And I decided, you know what? I am okay with the balls that I have put down.
Mhm,
I am okay with the things that aren't getting done for this summer, because this summer, my values are here. These are the things that need to fall into place.
mhm.
And this other stuff, well, it would be nice if I could do it too, reasonably. It's not going to happen, and I'm okay with that.
What I like hearing about that is that and I don't even know that this is a term, but like that secure knowing you have, like, and this decision has been made.
Yeah.
It's on my values. This is doable. I'm not going to beat myself up because I can achieve this summer.
Yeah, I'm not gonna compare myself to, anybody else who I think is doing it all. It looks like they're doing it all on social media. I'm not gonna compare myself to perfect Sonya, who sits out there
Mm,
and, has all the things that I don't have.
mm,
That's not reasonable.
mm,
This is what I can do, and I am happy with that. I
mhm,
am content with that. The next season, once I get moved and get organized, then I can pick those other things back up. They're not going anywhere.
mhm,
And having that compassion feels very abundant to
mm,
me.
mhm,
Being able to look at it and not say, you're such a loser, you're not getting it all done again. You know,
mm,
but that's that place where our brains go
mhm.
until we start really looking at what success really is.
Right. And I think we touched on this last week about that compassionate voice that so many people are used to hearing, that beat down version,
Yes.
that they think they can't have success if they don't do the beat down.
Right, and the beat down is where you look to when you're wanting that shiny thing at the end.
Mhm,
That's why you do that.
mhm. And when we practice that self-kindness, that we feel the success on a daily basis,
Yes.
being and just enjoying it because we're not beating ourselves up daily.
Yeah, that's what, I thought today as I was journaling, I thought this this is doable.
Mm,
This feels good. I have um that sense of generosity toward myself. I am being generous with
mhm,
allowing myself some space to breathe
mm,
rather than setting myself up for failure.
mm,
Those are the options.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, you can look to this, your measurement of success, right? The
Mhm.
external,
Doing it all.
the tangible,
Yeah.
or look to the internal, the intangibles.
Yeah. And be okay with where I am.
Mhm,
Be okay with not getting it all done. It's not getting done anyway. I'm going to be okay with that.
mhm, mhm,
And so I think, living from that place where in life coach school, we call it abundance,
mhm,
living from abundance. But it's really, I think at its core, it is a place of self compassion
mhm,
and kindness,
mhm,
a place where we can feel gratitude. We can feel very generous. I can feel much more generous with my time, knowing, when my husband says, well, we need to get this done, rather than panicking and getting that, all worked up about how are we going to get this done. I can say, I've got time for that.
mm,
There's
mm,
time for that on my schedule. It's going to happen.
mm. Which is so interesting because as you're telling that story, I'm thinking about losing weight,
Hmm.
and that when people are not seeing the scale move and they've set a goal,
Hmm.
and that how that conversation rolls out and the opportunities for growth that happen in
Yeah.
those moments, it's really very telling on when the kind of the rubber meets the road, the
Yeah.
grit to stick to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, would that grit would be that intangible quality, right?
Hmm.
To what are you going to learn? What do you have yet to learn
Yeah.
on this process for yourself?
What if you say that for the month of, the month of June, the month of July, my weight loss goal is going to be 0, but
Mm,
my self-compassion practice is going to be, I'm going to be accountable to myself, and
mhm,
that's going to be on lockdown this month.
mhm. Weigh the intangibles.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. I'm a big fan of that.
I mean,
I've actually done that with clients. Like,
right.
what if you don't weigh? What's the problem?
Yeah.
Get these
Let's
habits on lock. Mhm,
let's focus on what's really important.
mhm,
The
mhm,
scale's going to be there anytime. Anytime you want to jump on it, it's going to be there.
mhm.
But the real things that are going to lead you to success, your scale doesn't care. It does not care what that number is at the end,
A
right?
scale, a scale with feelings. Oh, it'll give you a little,
Yeah,
oh.
a little emoji. That's all we need. But that the scale is such an unimportant measure, just like a bank account is such an unimportant measure. I mean, what's a full bank account if you don't have love and relationships and compassion, both for your fellow man and yourself?
Yeah, and what is weighing, I'll just go with 150 pounds if you're absolutely miserable and scared to eat
Yeah.
a bite of food.
Yes. I
Mhm.
mean, those are not measures of success, folks. Those are things our culture has led us to believe, and they're wrong.
Mhm.
The real gold is in these things that we've been talking about this morning. And I guess it's about time to wrap it up. But just to cover it again, discovering what your values are, focusing on those values on yourself, not comparing yourself to culture, society, your best friend, your husband, your wife, whatever. Developing your accountability muscle, and then really living from a place of abundance, feeling that compassion and kindness toward yourself,
Mhm.
taking pride in what you're learning and what you're doing, not focusing on some outside measure.
Gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And let's just talk for a minute here about grades. Like that's subjective.
Oh yeah.
Oh, more,
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
Eh,
Anyway.
I think I was telling you this, that I mean, of course, grade inflation is at an all-time high in this country for many, many reasons. I could talk about that for an hour. But it's to the point that, grad schools don't really care a whole lot about grade point average anymore because so many people graduate with honors, or they graduate with a high GPA. It's just not a real measure anymore
Mm.
because we have inflated it to the point that it has very
So
little meaning.
what are they using? What is the measure?
Um, they look at your GRE scores, they look at writing samples, they look at, test scores. If you're going into law school, there's the LSAT. If you're going into medical school, it's the MCAT. It's GRE is for more general graduate studies, but they look at things like that
Hmm.
because everybody's got, a 3.5 or above.
4.99.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's what my daughter had.
Yeah. I mean, it's just anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. What are your measures of success? And the important thing is finding what works for you and your path,
Mhm.
always looking inward and asking yourself if it serves you, and creating a trusting path for yourself.
Yeah.
And
What do you really want at the end of this journey?
right.
I nobody puts their weight on their tombstone. Not to be not to be morbid, but
Oh,
who knows? Who
right.
knows what a person looked like from their tombstone?
I laugh and then I'm like, and it's sad because I think of how many people have, just are so preoccupied with weight and food and
Mhm.
not having.
And prosperity and wealth. I
Mhm,
mean, we get caught up in that stuff,
mhm,
and it is not the measure of a successful person ever.
mm. Good stuff.
Yep. All right. Well, if you are looking for a one-on-one coach, you can find me at sonyagreencoaching.com. Because it's summer, even though I'm moving, because it's summer, I do have a few extra openings. So there's a few spots you can jump in. And Judith?
You can find me with a No BS weight loss program. Probably the easiest way would be if you are a member of the No BS community, just hit that one-on-one coaching button found on the main website.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. We'll be back with you next week with more gems of. I don't think we've decided on next week's topic.
No, we did decide we're going to talk about hair.
Yeah.
I'm having hair drama today.
We're both having hair drama today. So next week, all about hair drama. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.